Welcome to today's deep dive. I mean, we all know that feeling, right? You know, that absolute dread of an early alarm.
Oh, yeah. That 6 a.m. wake-up call.
Yeah, when the room is dark and the bed is so warm and you are just staring down the barrel of a really long, demanding day.
It is the universal struggle, honestly. Just trying to get out of bed.
Exactly. And finding a morning routine that actually gets you moving without feeling like this massive monumental chore is, well, it is something a lot of us are constantly chasing.
Right, because usually morning routines are just exhausting to even think about.
Totally. But today we are looking at something incredibly unique. Our source material is actually a literal script for a 60-second start morning masterclass.
It is a fascinating document.
Mm.
When we talk about morning routines, the advice usually involves these sprawling, multi-step processes, right? Things that require you to wake up an hour earlier just to complete them.
Which defeats the purpose.
Exactly. But this source takes the exact opposite approach. It is a highly condensed, hyper-efficient dialogue designed to be read in just 1 minute.
So the mission of our deep dive today is to unpack the 5 core steps of this morning routine while also analyzing the brilliant, hyper-efficient way the information is delivered.
Because the delivery is half the magic here.
It really is. The text promises that this system requires just 5 minutes of effort for a 10-hour win, which is basically the holy grail for your morning.
Okay, let's unpack this.
What's fascinating here is the intentional limitation placed on the format. The source material explicitly points out its own pacing metrics. It states that exactly 150 to 160 words is the sweet spot for a conversational 1-minute read.
Which is incredibly tight.
It is. That constraint is the engine of this entire framework. It forces the brain to absorb information without feeling overwhelmed.
I mean, think about the emails you send before you even start your workday. Most of them are longer than this entire masterclass. I have to admit, when I first looked at this, I was a little skeptical. Can a 1-minute read really install a functional habit? That skepticism is totally warranted. But the constraint is precisely why it works. When you wake up, your cognitive capacity is at its lowest point of the day.
Oh, absolutely.
Your brain actively resists complex instructions. If you try to internalize a 10-point philosophy on productivity at 6:15 a.m., you will simply fail and go back to sleep. A 150-word environment forces ruthless prioritization.
It is an exercise in functional minimalism. And it is not just a list of bullet points either. The source uses a really specific delivery mechanism. It is a dialogue between 2 distinct characters.
Right, Maya and Leo.
Yes, we have Maya who provides the pro tips. She is high energy, she is organized, and the text literally describes her as already productive.
And then you have the counterweight to Maya, which is Leo. The text describes Leo as providing the human perspective. He is chill, relatable, and my favorite part, he is still buffering.
Still buffering captures that morning feeling so perfectly.
It really does.
You are awake, but your operating system has not fully loaded yet. You are just staring at the wall while the background apps slowly start up. We all have days where we are the high-energy pro-Maya.
And we definitely all have days where we are the ones still buffering. We all need a Leo in our internal monologue. If you just have a high-energy voice barking orders at you, it just creates resistance.
Yeah. It provides an avatar for your natural reluctance. The source notes that the balance between Maya and Leo is the core dynamic. You have the part of you that wants to conquer the day and the part of you that just wants to stay under the covers. The script acknowledges both.
So let's see how that dynamic plays out in the actual routine. Step 1 is what the script calls the no-snooze. Maya is uncompromising here. Her instruction is if you touch that button, you have already lost the day. Feet on the floor at the first beep.
It is a severe way to frame the very first action of the day. The text does not offer a gentle transition from sleep to wakefulness. It draws a hard line.
I push back on that a little bit, honestly. Lost the day is a heavy consequence for hitting a piece of plastic at dawn. It is heavy. And the text anticipates that exact reaction through Leo. When Maya lays down that rule, Leo's response is simply harsh, but fair.
Harsh but fair. That is the pivotal realization right there.
Why does he concede that it is fair? Because the snooze button is essentially a negotiation with yourself. If the very first thing you do in the morning is break a commitment you made the night before, you are setting a precedent of defeat.
You are teaching yourself that your boundaries are flexible.
Exactly. It is harsh because it demands immediate physical discomfort. Leaving a warm bed sucks. But it is fair because giving into that comfort rarely makes you feel more rested. It usually just makes you groggy and puts you behind schedule, rushing to catch up for the next 10 hours.
So you have forced your feet onto the floor. The source immediately moves to step 2, which is light. Maya's immediate action is to open those curtains.
And the rationale she gives is brilliant. She says your brain needs to know the sun exists so it stops producing the sleepy chemicals.
Sleepy chemicals, I love that phrasing. It intentionally dumbs down the biology.
It really does.
Yeah.
It knows that you, the listener, probably understand the basic mechanics of sleep cycles. But at 6 in the morning, you do not need a textbook explanation of melatonin production.
No, you need a binary trigger. Sleepy chemicals strips away any unnecessary friction. It creates a simple mental model. Dark means sleep, light means awake.
Simplifying biological processes helps us take action. It shifts you from a passive state of enduring the morning to an active state of manipulating your environment. The sleepy chemicals phrasing gives you an immediate, tangible reason to seek out the sun.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Once you have handled the external environment, the script forces you to deal with the internal one. Step 3 is called the 16-ounce flush.
Oh, this is a big one.
Maya's rule is that you must chug a glass of water before you even touch the coffee pot.
This is a strict order of operations directive, and Maya uses a very specific visceral analogy to sell this point. She states, your brain is a prune after 8 hours of sleep. Rehydrate it.
I hear the prune analogy, but realistically, does chugging 16 ounces of cold water actually wake you up? I have tried this, and sometimes it just feels like a bloated chore when you are half asleep and desperately want caffeine.
That is a fair critique. The physical sensation of drinking water is not a magical jolt of energy like an espresso shot. But the text is not claiming it as a magic stimulant. It is using the imagery of a dried, shriveled prune to force a fundamental maintenance task.
You have been exhaling moisture all night.
Right. The analogy works because it makes the idea of skipping water feel neglectful to your own cognitive function.
It is highly persuasive. Nobody wants to try and manage their inbox or deal with a commute with a prune for a brain. It sounds sticky and inefficient.
And again, we look at how the script solidifies this concept. After Maya delivers the prune line, the text describes Leo muttering to himself.
Oh yeah, he just says rehydrate the prune. Got it.
That muttered response is so relatable. He does not loudly agree. He just quietly adopts it as an instruction manual for his sluggish body. It becomes this weird, slightly gross, but totally unforgettable mantra.
Exactly. It proves that the 150-word constraint forces memorable phrasing. Rehydrate the prune takes up 3 words, but it effectively replaces a long-winded lecture on hydration.
Which you would just tune out anyway.
Totally. So at this point in the routine, you are out of bed, you are exposed to the light, and you are no longer a prune. The physical setup is complete.
Now it is time for the mental preparation.
Yes. Step 4 is the brain dump. Maya instructs you to spend exactly 2 minutes writing down your top 3 priorities.
The physical act of writing for just 2 minutes is vital here. But the real leverage comes from the incredible relief found in the boundary rule Maya establishes immediately after.
Which is?
She says, if it is not on the list, it is not a problem yet.
I think that might be the most valuable sentence in the entire document.
Yeah.
The morning brain loves to panic. You wake up and suddenly you are thinking about a deadline next week, a weird email from a coworker getting the car inspected.
It is a massive cloud of overlapping anxieties.
Exactly. And that information overload is paralyzing. By limiting the brain dump to just 3 priorities, you are forcing triage. You are externalizing the most critical items, moving them from your head to the paper.
And that boundary rule prevents morning anxiety. It is a protective shield. It is an artificial boundary, sure. Those other problems do technically exist. But you are actively choosing to suspend reality for those items so you can actually function in the present.
It narrows your field of vision to something manageable, which sets up the final action of the 60-second start perfectly. Step 5 is eat the frog.
Eat the frog.
Maya tells you to do the one task you are dreading first.
Now, eat the frog is a concept we see often, but doing it as part of a 5-minute routine is an interesting framing. The text slightly blurs the line here between the 5-minute setup and the actual execution of your workday.
Because sometimes the dreaded task takes 4 hours. You cannot actually complete that within a 5-minute morning routine.
Right, but the 5 minutes is the preparation. It is the act of identifying the frog and committing to it before you get distracted by easier, less important tasks. And Leo unpacks the payoff for making that commitment.
He says because once the frog is gone, the rest of the day is dessert.
Contrast the dreaded frog with the relief of the dessert. That is what makes it compelling. A dreaded task hangs over your head. It is a low-grade fever of anxiety that drains your energy even when you're working on other things.
By tackling it first, you eliminate that dread. The rest of the day is dessert. Even answering mundane emails or sitting in a status meeting feels easy because the worst is behind you.
It completely changes the tone of your working hours.
So what does this all mean? Maya summarizes the section by reiterating the ultimate promise. Total time elapsed, 5 minutes of effort for a 10-hour win.
It suggests that the barrier to entry for a productive day does not require overhauling your entire lifestyle. You do not need a 2-hour sequence of meditation and journaling.
Which is such a relief to hear.
If you can just string together 5 very specific, highly constrained minutes, you can alter the trajectory of the next 10 hours.
Don't hit snooze. Find light, drink water. Pick 3 tasks. Choose the worst one.
Done.
The script ends with a quick sign-off. Leo says we're out of time, go be great, and Maya says, see ya tomorrow. It fits perfectly into that rapid 1-minute format. But the source document we are reviewing actually contains a few meta notes at the very end that are really intriguing.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the final questions posed in the source are fascinating. The prompt offers customization options. It asks if it should generate a 30-second music intro track or if it should write a late-for-work version of the script.
The late-for-work version. Just the suggestion that it exists is such a profound acknowledgement of reality. The 60-second start we just analyzed is the ideal scenario, but human systems fail.
We absolutely fail. We are going to have mornings where we do touch that snooze button and the day is suddenly starting from a huge deficit, or the alarm simply does not go off.
The fact that a customization option exists for being late implies that you cannot simply squeeze the ideal routine into a compromised time frame. When you are operating in survival mode, you need a different operational protocol entirely.
Since we do not have the text for that alternate script, speculating on the concept is pretty fun. What happens to the 5 steps when you only have 2 minutes before you have to be out the door?
It likely requires abandoning the preparation phases altogether. The frog and the brain dump probably get tossed out entirely. It becomes purely about physical triage.
Yeah, it was probably just Maya yelling, put your shoes on and run, while Leo is desperately trying to find his keys.
You just absolute chaos. But having a designated failure protocol prevents a bad morning from spiraling into a completely ruined day.
It shows an understanding that rigid perfection is way less useful than adaptable frameworks.
All right, let's do a quick recap of the ideal framework we explored today for you guys listening. The 60-second start masterclass delivers 5 steps. Step 1 is the no snooze. Feet on the floor at the first beep.
Step 2 is light. Open the curtains to stop those sleepy chemicals.
Step 3 is the 16-ounce flush. Rehydrate the prune before the coffee.
Step 4 is the brain dump. 2 minutes, 3 priorities, and if it is not on the list, it is not a problem yet.
And finally, step 5 is eat the frog, do the worst thing first so the rest of the day is dessert. All of that gives you an incredible return on investment. 5 minutes of effort for a 10-hour win.
This raises an important question, though. We just spent this time analyzing how ruthless constraint, pacing out exactly 150 words and taking just 5 precise minutes can cut through the chaos of a morning.
Yeah.
If hyper-condensing our rules and eliminating the fluff works so well for waking up, what other massive overwhelming challenges in our lives are we currently overcomplicating?
That is a great point.
Where else could we apply a 60-second start mentality, establishing a few uncompromising boundaries to finally get unstuck?
That is definitely something to really mull over as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you feel a little more equipped to face tomorrow morning. Until next time, go be great.